our connection with nature and our care for nature as well. There's so much disconnection, and there's so many people that feel alone and disconnected. I've really been exploring ways to deepen my connection with the earth, with the elements, and to live in a more deliberate, conscious way with the elements. Many people have a practice of prayer before they eat or attuning to gratitude, walking outdoors and noticing the fresh air. This quote by Joanna Macy captures some of what's going on here. That we need to be connected, we need to feel and know our connection in order for us to even care about Earth. We need to know it and we need to experience a connection with it. So she talks about of all the dangers we face, from climate change to nuclear war, none is so great as the deadening of our response. So this is something that happens in the nervous system through a sense of freeze. We feel overwhelmed, we feel despair. It also happens in the kind of culture and the aggression, the extractivist philosophy in our culture. As we work with all of these different ways that we can come more into our own connection with the earth, then we are the world knowing itself. We can relinquish our separateness and we can come home again. And we participate in the world in a richer way. So, I can go outside and breathe in the oxygen and get the benefits of the oxygen. But if when I go outside, I savor the air and I look around, then I experience that in a richer way. Once we know that we belong to the living body of earth, then we're already home. How are we going to tune into that? How are we going to know that we do belong to the living body of earth? One of the things that I've been exploring or thinking about is how could we feel at home with something that could hurt us? Nature is not all sunny meadows and gentle breezes, as we know. It's also fierce. It's also destructive at times. It can be scary. So, our nervous system plays a big part in this. So, our nervous system is committed to my survival, each one of us, our own survival. And it has a negativity bias. So, we remember everything that could be dangerous. And often, when we're working with catastrophic thoughts, we're working with a projection of the nervous system into the future. We need to increase the accuracy of our neuroception, of our perception of threat. And we need to experience that we're safe in our body in this moment in time. As we're working with the practice, if you notice that your mind is starting to go off into something scary, or if you're disconnecting, stay with safety. So you might open your eyes and just kind of look around for a bit, or you could hold your hands. If you have a candle, you could look into the flame. Just let yourself get rooted back into this moment as we go through the practice. This is meant to be a practice of connection, not a practice of thinking about all of the different things that could be going wrong. It's a practice of connection. Let's start with our ancestors. If we were to travel back in time, how far back would you have to travel to find ancestors that lived on the land and were connected in the land? And that might be you. Maybe you grew up on the land, or maybe you still live on the land. You feel very connected with the rhythm and the experience of living on the land. I think for many of us, we have some of each. I've spent a lot of time in nature. I grew up in a small town. Certainly, generations back, at some point in all of our backgrounds, we were indigenous to the land that we lived on. So if you're indigenous to North America, then this is your land. If you came over as a settler or as a slave, then you're not indigenous to this land, but at some point, we all lived in tribal communities. What do you know about your particular biological ancestry? We could also be aware we're part of a larger timeline. Some people might know a lot about that. Most of us probably don't know that much about, but we could trust that human evolution came through as small groups of people. Some traveled, and then we started to be more stationary. But even if you were living in a small village or a small town like I was, I had really good access to nature. Think about that. But also, do you have any history in your family of healers, shamans, medicine people, witches? Do you know of any that were in your family line? Most likely, if we go back far enough, there were people who were guided and who were really in touch with the land. My mother's father, for instance, was a person who did water witching. They would call him over when they needed a well, and he would find the water on their land. Are there people in your family, maybe the weird auntie with the reputation of being a bit odd? How far back? And who comes to mind? And are you connected with any spiritual practices that are land based? Could be yoga or meditation or indigenous practices, Ayurveda. Is it a specific tradition or is it more of a hybrid of things that you've brought close to you because you're interested in them? So, as we start to go through this practice, we're going to use our present day, present life experiences with connection as a way to imagine or reimagine ourselves going back into time, as well as connecting in this moment. Take a breath. One of the ways that the Celtic traditions and many other indigenous traditions from all over the world come in is they work with time, they work with the elements. So let's start the guided practice. Let it take you where it goes. A step beyond the known. Dissolve into the wild. We're offering to mystery, the earth, unseen forces. We're opening to the untamed wisdom within us. Let your breath soften your edges. If you are in touch with the ground or if you have something near you, put your hands on the earth, on something from the earth, on your belly or your heart, and whisper, I step across the threshold. I surrender to the wild unfolding of life. And let yourself step out of time. Enter a space where magic, mystery, and the deep self intertwine. Let your breath soften your edges. If you have access to soil, touch the ground, stone, wood, and feel the texture. And if you're not feeling that right now, if you don't have that handy, then do that in your imagination. We've all touched the ground. We've all had our bare hand, our bare feet, our bodies on the ground. Remember the feel of that. And also bring into your awareness the bodies of my ancestors also felt this. As we go back through the generations, we've all felt the earth under our feet. In bringing your own body into awareness, imagine that you are melting into the earth. You're becoming soil, fungi, deep roots, decaying leaves. Experience your body as scattered, soft, unformed, in the soil, part of the web of life. You don't have to think about it, it's more of a felt sense. Imagine that your body is melting into earth. The mycelial networks beneath the ground whisper stories. What is the communication that's happening in the mycelial networks in the soil? Stories of ancestors, forgotten songs, the way the world was known in deep time. I listen to the stories and songs of Earth. And if you're doing this practice on your own or listening to the recording, you might stay with each of the elements for a long time. Really let yourself sink into that awareness. I listen to the whispering, to the stories. And now coming to the element of air, spirit, messages, change. Imagine a strong wind moving through your body, clearing away old ideas, doubts, fears. Imagine a strong wind moving through your body. The wind carries secrets from the more than human world. The whispers of trees, rivers, ancestors, unseen forces. Let the wind move through you. How did your ancestors experience wind? Strong winds, gentle breezes. The unseen moves through me. I listen. If you're outside, stand up and feel the air touch your skin. If you're indoors, remember, we all know that feeling. And imagine yourself dissolving into the wind, soaring on currents of air. Let yourself dissolve into the wind, soar on currents of air. Feel the way the air supports you, the freedom. And now come back to earth, to the element of fire, the untamed force of instinct, passion, transformation. Imagine a great bonfire in front of you. This is your fire, the fire that has never gone out, no matter how much you've been tamed or silenced. Feel the warmth, the light. This is your fire. And what is the history of fire in your ancestors? Do you have rituals with fire? Do you have memories of fire? As you go back and back, dancing around fire on the full moon, cooking fires. And remember your wild self, the part of you that runs with wolves, sings to the moon, refuses to be domesticated, and who has never forgotten. Allow your body to move like flames. Awaken the energy of your untamed spirit. I remember who I am. I step into my wildness. I burn away what no longer serves me. Breathe. Feel the fire in the air. Allow yourself to be alchemized through fire. Feel your strength and your power. Power of fire. Stay out of thought, stay in your body, feel the energy. And then we bring in water. Water carries us. With water, we can let go of pushing and let ourselves be carried. Imagine standing in a vast river, feeling the slow, ancient pull of water. The river doesn't rush, it moves. It knows it will reach the ocean in its own time. Sense back into time to feeling thirst and feeling water. Place a drop of water on your forehead or your lips and feel the wetness, or feel the wetness in your own mouth. What is your ancestral history with water? Over millennia, we've drunk the water. Our bodies are made of water. Sense into the water in the air and the sky. In your body, the water in the trees and the soil. The water in other bodies, other animals. Feel the waters of the earth blessing you. Imagine your tightness softening, your edges blending into the great currents of time, the great ocean of existence. I trust the current. I can flow. Breathe. Imagine standing at the edge of something vast, a forest at dusk, a deep cavern, the star-filled sky. You are at ease in the mystery. Listen as the world is speaking. The wind and water carry stories. The trees hum in slow voices. The soil, the earth. I listen with my skin and bones, my breath and body. I know myself to be formed of earth, air, water, fire. I know myself to be formed of earth, air, water, fire. I am part of the great unknown. I am part of the great unknown. I am woven into the mystery. I belong to what cannot be named. Give that a few minutes to resonate in our heart. I listen with my skin and bones, my breath and body. I am part of the great unknown. Breathe, soften. You open your eyes and look around. Notice what you are sharing space with, indoors, outdoors. And remember in your own body and in your own visualization and your own remembrance of ancestors, we're not alone. Know what it is that you're part of. And do this remembering again and again. Let yourself feel the excitement and the deep connection. There's so much more to us than our daily life and the jobs and the relationships and all of the things that are going on. Let yourself remember the whole and appreciate for yourself that you're here doing a practice of connection. Bring your hands to your heart if you want. Feel that in your own body. I'm part of the great mystery of life. We carry that with us as we move into the next part of our day.